Hey, Erin. So, do you know why so many people in the Navy love anime?
No, I didn't even hear that.
And they're really big fans of subs. This week on Geek IV, anime with guest expert Erin Rizal. Welcome to Geek IV, your mainline solution to all your nerd culture needs straight into your bloodstream. You'll be fit and in tip-top shape in no time. Well, for a geek. I'm your spirit guide, Claire McCrae. Today, I am joined by guest expert Erin Rizal. Let's jump right in with our expert testimony. So, thank you for coming, first of all. But let's start off with what got you into anime?
Yeah, so I started watching anime when I was really small. My sister was watching it, so of course I wanted to be really cool and watch it with her. And there were always things like Sailor Moon and Pokemon. And I actually assumed that these were all like Western cartoons. I didn't know that they were from Japan because they were all in English. And my sister just kind of like introduced me to that. And she would like explain to me like about, you know, this is from Japan, they dubbed it in English, and I learned it from there.
Oh, cool.
Very small, which was really interesting because I kind of got to know about like Japanese culture, even though I like, you know, I have no roots for it or whatever, but like, you know, it was cool. And and then I just started to keep watching until now.
So is anime more of a genre, would you say, or like a medium?
A lot of people have debate over that. Some say, I think that it's more of a medium.
Me too.
Because there's so many people that are behind like anime. There's different animators, you know, just like with movies and TV shows, like there's different genres within it. So I feel like calling it one genre would be like, it might lead people to like stereotype how it's gonna be, like, you know. I think another thing behind the debate is that anime is it's actually a word that was taken from French. And
I didn't know that.
Because the French actually, I did a paper on this, but the French actually did kind of like came up with animation as we know it like now. Of course, it was like, you know, stop motion kind of stuff. And from there, it kind of got expanded it on, and you know, we know Disney kind of like capitalized on it.
They took a lot from that.
And Japan also came out with a lot of animation earlier
so
than
cool.
that. So I don't exactly know why anime is still they still use like the French word for it, but of course today we know it as like animation from Japan.
Yeah.
And but some people stereotype it as like, oh, it's a certain style, like it's, you know, girls with like big eyes,
it's the
small mouth.
magic.
That's like anime style, but that's not true because there's like a very like wide variety of it. But of course now like the industry is a little bit weak, so you don't really see as much variety anymore. People are a little bit afraid to step out of the comfort zone and like risk it with like big anime.
You got to go back to some of the classics.
And like example of that is Attack on Titan. It's very different from like what we see a lot in the mainstream anime, and you can tell that they were kind of trying to appeal to like Western audiences, and that's kind of part of the reason why it's so successful right now.
Because it's so different.
Yeah.
But I don't really like watching things with subtitles. That's really turns me off from it.
Yeah.
Is there a way to get into it besides that, or is it all like that?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of difficult when you're first getting into it because you know, you're looking at the subtitles and you probably like might have like no familiarity with the language, so you're kind of like relying on just words instead of like watching the action, which can be really frustrating. So my advice is to look up some of the dubs, but just to be careful because a lot of dubs are really terrible.
A lot of them are such bad acting.
Yeah, not only that, there's only like one or two companies actually dub anime in English because unfortunately like the industry isn't doing as well over here, since now you can like download everything as soon as it airs in Japan, so the demand for that's kind of low.
I'd say like Funimation is one of those companies. They do a lot of really good dubs, so if you were looking for something you could start there maybe. Yeah,
like Adult Swim on Cartoon Network airs a few anime. I know recently they had Attack on Titan. A lot of the stuff that's pretty popular with Western audiences and Japanese audiences.
Yeah, and do you think that's the best way to sort of break into anime if I've never experienced it before?
I think so. I mean, everyone kind of has their taste, so sometimes it'll be kind of like, you know, that spoiled chicken that you eat and you'll never want to eat chicken again. You kind of have to just like you know, trust, if you see one bad anime,
it's not everything's
spoil
bad.
the rest.
Yeah.
So, but Toonami is a pretty safe bet, especially since they dubbed a lot of like the classic anime.
And I know a lot of people probably like
have
that one. Yeah, start with the classics, start with the good ones.
Yeah.
And Toonami was really good because I remember being a kid and having that be my introduction to a lot of different anime shows. So I think that's sort of like they do a good job of filtering out some of the more questionable shows.
Yeah.
Thanks, Erin. Now the two of us are going to give you viewers some suggestions on how to break into anime with a few doses of great shows in our segment, Quick Shots. All right, Erin, let's give some recommendations to our viewers at home. So the first thing I'd like to start with that I've actually brought in a few things of is Sailor Moon. This was the first anime I ever watched, and I think a lot of girls, at least our age, must have seen that when we were little. So if you remember watching a bit of Sailor Moon and you want to get back into some cool things, but not childlike things, I would recommend Madoka Magica, which has that sort of Power Girl fantasy thing, but it has a lot of darker, more adult aspects of it, and it really sort of tears that genre apart and gets into the grittiness of it, and I think it's beautifully animated.
Definitely a very psychological one as well. So,
do you have a recommendation?
Yeah. So my recommendation would be any of the Miyazaki films. He's basically this really well-known animator in Japan.
He's like the Disney of Japan.
Unfortunately, he's retired and he's not making any more. But any of his films are like definitely a must-see. Some of his most well-knowns are Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle,
and Totoro.
Yeah, definitely.
My Neighbor Totoro. So I think they're all films, so they're very accessible. It's not like you have to watch 300 episodes of something. It's just one nice little chunk, and I think that it's a really easy way to get into it. My next recommendation is going to be, if you like Batman or other sort of dark vigilante type things, there's a show called Darker Than Black, which is got this weird sort of fatalistic post-apocalyptic world to it, but it's got the supernatural aspects and is an adult show. Like there are some mature themes in that. So I think anyone who thinks that anime is just for kids, you should watch this show and you'll be proved wrong. And so for college students, speaking of which,
so there's a pretty recent anime, it came out in 2011. It's a very short series called Tatami Galaxy. Now you won't really find it dubbed, but it's definitely worth watching, even if you're afraid of watching something in another language, with lots of subtitles. Especially if you're a graduating senior, this anime really focuses on college life and looking at it like, you know, from the past and from the future. The plot is similar to Groundhog's Day, so this guy kind of like re-experiences college experience over and over again in different perspectives. And it's definitely a must-watch, and it's definitely underrated. So
and I think it would be cool because even though it's got the subtitles in the Japanese language, which might put some people off, it's very relatable for people our age, I think. So I think that could cross that bridge for you. And so lastly, I'm going to follow it up with everything. My greatest recommendation usually for anyone is the show Full Metal Alchemist, which I think is just one of the best anime shows of all time. If you're just getting into it, I would start with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is sort of like the reboot and a half of the original show. But if you're really in for the long haul, I'd say go back, watch Full Metal Alchemist and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Get the whole trip because it's really so amazing. It's so good. All right, I think those are our recommendations. Thank you, Erin. All right, that's all for this week. Thanks to Erin Rizal for coming on our show to talk about anime. I'll see you next week when we flood our systems with tabletop games. I'm Claire McCrae, and this is Geek IV. Thanks so much.